Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Press the Action Button podcast. I lost my train of thought there for a second. Here on the Doom Dog YouTube channel. As always, I am your host, Josh, and with me is my good friend Eric.
How's it going?
And around the time of E3, Jesus Christ, it's been forever. We promised you guys that we would do the next big podcast where we talked about the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about this, so let's get started.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember when, it may be hard for gamers nowadays to imagine, but there was a time period when you did not associate the name Microsoft with video games or consoles.
Yeah.
They really kind of first got into the console market with the Dreamcast. I don't remember what exactly it was they did for the Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast has the Windows logo on it. You remember that about it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what they did?
No. They must have provided something for like the hardware, you know?
Yeah, probably like the user interface or something. I don't remember. I just know the Dreamcast has the Windows CE logo on it.
Yeah.
But in 2000, they announced that they were going to get into the console market. And they announced the Direct Xbox, because what it originally was, let's make a console that runs off of our 3D rendering program, DirectX. Do you remember what it originally looked like?
Yeah, it was like that big ass X.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was really cool looking, to be honest. Like I like the concept one. I always thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, but when I first saw it, my first question was, how the fuck are they going to fit a motherboard in that thing?
If I remember right, the box that it came in, if you stood the box up, it kind of looked like it. You know, there was like an X on it.
Yeah. The final design had like the, it still had the X that you could see on top of it, but it had like the rest of it filled in.
Yeah, I mean, that thing was still huge.
Yeah. It's still a massive it's still one of the biggest consoles ever made, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I think it was a beast.
But it did change consoles forever. First off, it's the first console to... It wasn't the first console to have the ability to have a hard drive.
Right.
But it was the first console to actually have a hard drive built in. And that was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know, like, you know, the history of it. I'm trying to, you know, wasn't like the biggest hype, you know, not a lot of people were talking about that, but that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it turned out like it's the kind of thing where you didn't think much of it at the time, but in retrospect, it became a big deal because it was like Sony.
Yeah.
Imagine a console coming out days without a hard drive in it.
Oh, right.
Okay, that's called the Nintendo Switch, I know. But it still has internal storage, like 32 gigabit or something, and you can put a SD card in it for a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well, so they're fine.
Yeah, but Sony, obviously they put one in the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360 had one. Oh, funny enough, the Xbox 360 did eventually come out with a model that didn't have the hard drive in it. But at the time, I mean, it wasn't used for too much at the time. You could put soundtracks on it, which would let you, in some games, use your own music instead of the game soundtrack, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember, like, I always thought it was a cool system when it came out, you know?
Yeah.
Of course, you had the Duke controller, which was, you know,
fucking huge and widely mocked for how big it was.
Hilarious, I thought. I love that thing.
Yeah, I like the S controller a lot better, not gonna lie.
No, yeah, that's a great controller. I mean, they really haven't done much to that one. It's extremely well done. The Duke one, I just love for how fucking ridiculous it was.
Yeah, with the Xbox controller S, they kind of did what Sony did, where they found the pattern that worked, and they've stuck with the basic format ever since.
Yeah, you can't blame them.
No, I don't blame them. I don't blame Sony for having the same basic controller for 20 plus years now.
No, if it works really well, then There's really no need to change it around.
No. This was also this was prepared for a component cable straight out of the box when it came out in 2001, and that was a big deal because 2001 was the very beginning of TVs with component cable attachments and capable of widescreen and progressive scan were becoming the new norm, and it was the very beginning of the HD era. HD TVs at that time were expensive as shit, but they were available.
Yeah.
So it kind of future-proofed it in that sense, because if you get a pair of component cables and plug it into your modern TV, it's still not going to look that bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously with Microsoft, you know, they had the money and the resources to pump into it. You know?
Yeah. That's one thing that I like. Like, as a whole, I prefer the PlayStation 2 for its library of games, but
yeah,
on a modern TV, the Xbox does look better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, it had, I think it had a 733 megahertz processor, and it had either 32 or 64 meg of RAM, and I don't remember which.
No, I don't remember.
I'm leaning toward 32. And it had the graphics card in it was essentially a modified version of the Voodoo 3, 3DFX Voodoo 3.
Yeah.
So it was easily the most powerful console on the market at the time, even more so than the GameCube.
It came out in 2001.
Yeah, which GameCube also came out in 2001.
Yeah. They were GameCube was September. And Xbox was November.
Yeah, which is better than the next generation when it was
wasn't
the PlayStation 3, and then 3 days later it was the Wii.
I don't actually though. Now that I'm thinking about it, GameCube's Japanese launch wasn't that in September, and then their North American was November, right?
I'll be damned if I remember, bro.
I think the GameCube came out in November. I think it and the Xbox were only a couple days apart. I could be wrong, but I keep thinking about it, and that sounds right to me.
I don't remember off the top of my head,
because I just know that I know GameCube was out in Japan, but it was only a couple games. But
yeah,
but November, 2001.
Yeah, and there's really only one launch title that anybody remembers. So I couldn't even tell you what other launch titles it had.
I just brought up a list. I'm going to read them.
Okay, read off the launch titles.
All right. So we have 4x4 Evo 2. That sounds fun.
I actually played the original 4x4 Evo on the Dreamcast.
Air Force Delta Storm. That sounds like a Chuck Norris movie.
It does.
Arctic Thunder. That sounds like a Gatorade flavor. In fact, I think it is.
Yeah.
Cell Damage. Dark Summit. Dead or Alive 3, which I had. Fusion Frenzy. The big one that we'll get to in a minute, Halo.
Yeah.
Mad Dash Racing. Then you had Madden 2002, NASCAR Heat, and NASCAR. 2 NASCAR games for launch titles. Can you fucking believe that shit?
That's highly unusual.
NASCAR Heat and NASCAR Thunder 2002, both were launch titles. That's crazy. NFL Fever 2002, NHL Hits with a Z, so it was very early 2000s because that was still a thing.
Yeah, when somebody besides EA was making NHL games.
Oh yeah. Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey.
Heard that one's good.
I don't remember. I know I played it. I just don't remember. Project Gotham Racing, which was pretty good.
That was Rockstar, right?
Yeah. Shrek was one of the worst launch titles of any system of all time. Test Drive Off-Road Wide Open. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X and Trans World Surf.
That's actually a fairly lengthy list. Like, you usually don't get that many launch titles.
Right.
But there was one that mattered above all else.
Oh yeah, obviously the big one that sold that console, Halo.
Yeah. Do you think the console would have been a success if it wasn't for Halo?
That's an interesting question because Microsoft, whether Halo took off or not, I don't think they had any plans on like not promoting the fuck out of that console, right?
Yeah.
They put so much into it. It's their first foray into the console market. They have to make it succeed. So if Halo didn't take off, I kind of think they would have found some way. I don't think it would have been as big.
Well, very few. Like, Halo 2 was, at the time, like the biggest launch of any media property ever.
Yeah. Yeah, Halo was... People... There's people now who don't really remember how fucking big Halo was. Because, I mean, it's lost a lot. But there was a time where you couldn't go anywhere or do anything without hearing about Halo. And it was insane.
Especially around the launch of Halo 3. It's like every commercial brought it up.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there was advertisements for it.
Even in movie theater, you go to a movie theater and they were showing trailers of Halo. It was insane.
Yeah. Thank God we rarely get that, because it was overexposure is what it was. But
it was. I mean, the game sold well enough to match it, but then with Bungie, leaving Halo or whatever, they kind of... It just couldn't keep sustained anymore.
Call of Duty's kind of going through that right now, where they just can't sustain it.
I don't think the new Halo's going to do it either, but we'll see.
Yeah, but the first one, like I talked about this in my video review. I'll leave a link in the description below to my video review of the first Halo. But Bungie was exclusively a Mac developer.
Yeah.
Before Halo, they had like one game come to PC, and I think it was Marathon 2. But don't quote me on that. And they didn't have anything coming to consoles. And Halo was originally started its life as a real-time strategy game.
Right.
Which is just... It's fascinating because Halo would eventually become a real-time strategy game again when they did Halo Wars.
Oh, yeah. Halo, which is pretty good. That was a pretty good console real-time strategy.
Yeah, for a real-time strategy game on a console, it was pretty good. I can only think of one that was better off the top of my head, and that's Brutal Legend.
Oh god, Brutal Legends. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, but they moved it from RTS to a first-person shooter, and somewhere along the line, seemingly completely out of the blue,
yeah,
Microsoft was like, yeah, we're buying these guys. Which, I guess they were just trying to buy up developers to be first-party type things, because they also bought Rare around that time.
Right. Yeah, that was a waste of money.
Yeah, Rare went to shit after that. Sadly. What was the last Rare title that is widely considered a classic?
Oh god, I couldn't even tell you.
You have to go back to the Nintendo 64, don't you?
Probably. I mean, Perfect Dark Zero was... I don't know if that's the last one to be considered a classic, but it's the only one popping in my mind right now.
Yeah. Even their last one for Nintendo, Star Fox wasn't considered a classic. Star Fox Adventure.
No.
I like Star Fox Adventure.
Yeah, I just think Rare, I mean, they might as well call it quits on that one.
Yeah. But purchasing Bungie worked out extremely well for them. Kind of wish they hadn't gotten typecasted to one genre for their entire time. But purchasing Bungie wound up not being a mistake for Microsoft at all. It worked out extremely well because when Halo 2 launched in 2004, as I previously mentioned, it was the single biggest media launch in history up to that point, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah, it was everywhere. That was the very first time that I can remember them talking about a video game launching and coming out on the local news stations.
Yeah, there were so many, the midnight releases and so much hype for it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it really was. It was a huge fucking deal. There were some other titles for it that were big deals, too. Morrowind was a huge deal.
Oh yeah.
It sold, I think, about 4 million copies, which pales in comparison to later entries like Skyrim sold like 20 million.
Yeah, but if you think about it, at that time, that's a big number, you know?
It really was. I mean, prior to that, they were this niche developer that only computer nerds knew about. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you haven't played Morrowind? Well, you're a... not Morrowind, Daggerfall. Oh, you haven't played Daggerfall? Well, you're a pleb. Get on my level. I'm the real RPG nerd. That kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
I think...
Go ahead.
Not the Old Republic. I think about that one. It's just, gotta love that game.
Best Star Wars game ever made.
Yep.
Period. Like, even the sequel isn't quite as good, I don't think.
I love both. I like the first one a little bit more.
I think the sequel does not approach the is not as good as the first one because it was incomplete.
Yeah.
That was really the only thing holding it back. Is they didn't Obsidian Entertainment did not get enough time to finish the game, which was a shame because everything we got in that game is very, very good.
Oh yeah.
It's Jade Empire.
Jade Empire. I so wish they would do a new sequel to that.
You and me both. Hopefully they can get their writing prowess back after and we can at least admit that Andromeda does not have the same quality of writing that the original trilogy did.
No, for sure. I think that game gets a lot of unfair hate, and that's my opinion, but
that's fair enough. But I still think you can admit that it doesn't have the quality of writing that the original trilogy did. But, you know, what does? How many other RPGs out there have writing as good as Mass Effect does?
Right. Yeah, so goddamn good.
That's an incredibly high bar to reach. When did you first get one?
I'm trying to remember. I don't believe it was we got it on launch. I'm trying to remember because I know we obviously got Halo, but I remember, and I got Shenmue 2 for it as well.
I forgot Shenmue 2 was released here on the original Xbox.
Yeah, it came on the Xbox, and it got that really terrible Lord of the Rings game that came out. Got that for it. So it didn't get it for launch, but it really wasn't that long after.
Are you talking about the Third Age?
Yeah, whatever it was called. It was like a third person, and you'd run around. They had like the Shire. You could hide from the ring race. It was just a terrible fucking game.
Oh, so not the Third Age. The Third Age was basically Final Fantasy X in Middle Earth.
I think it was just called Lord of the Rings, and got Doom. It was Doom 3 was on there.
Yeah, Doom 3. Like, I wanted to talk about those in a little bit. The ports of Doom 3 and Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
I remember when I got one. It was around the time that the PlayStation Portable came out, so it was 2004. And I got one for the port of Doom 3.
Oh, right.
At the time, I was having trouble getting Doom 3 to run on my fucking PC because everybody fucking was back then.
Well, I just remember being so happy because I've said I'm much more of a console gamer, so to play Doom on the console is kind of like perfect for me.
Yeah, and what impressed me about that port job was if you look at Doom 3 and its lighting and everything it does and its graphics, it looks like something that the original Xbox should not be capable of doing.
Right.
No offense intended to the original Xbox, but it looks like something that's beyond its reach.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to get that up and running as well as it did on the original Xbox is just impressive. Very impressive.
It's a great port.
It is. It's kind of pointless to go back to now, except for curiosity's sake, because we have the BFG edition.
Yeah.
Which looks it better and sounds better and runs in higher resolution with a better frame rate. but at the time it was really impressive. And it also got a port of the first, not the first Half-Life. The PlayStation 2 got a port of the first Half-Life, but it got a port of Half-Life 2.
Yeah, it was a really good port too.
I still have a poster of that on my wall.
Yeah.
For that specific port. Just because they're like, you want a Half-Life 2 poster? I was at Best Buy and they were tossing them out, and they were like, you want a Half-Life 2 poster? I'm like, fuck yeah, that game's great. So they gave it to me, and I've had a Half-Life 2 Xbox port poster on my wall ever since.
Nice.
But it was surprised, like, they even managed to port over the physics, which I'm surprised if that processor and that GPU could handle it.
Oh, there was a lot that console could do. It gets shit on unfairly. I mean, there's a lot of great games for it.
Oh, I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah, I see people talk about it. I'm like, man, like some people don't remember. That was a pretty powerful console when it came out.
It really was. And I want to get that port of Half-Life 2, even though I own like 2 versions of it that are better than that, much better than that. I want to play that for curiosity's sake.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But I got it around the time that the PlayStation Portable came out, and I also got a PlayStation Portable. So I'd saved up plenty of cash to get the PSP.
Yeah.
And when I went and picked that up, I had a bunch more cash left over because I saved up way more than I fucking needed. Because I got the PSP with Untold Legends, Brotherhood of the Blade, and Metal Gear Acid.
Yeah, Acid's good. Acid's a good game.
Acid is underrated, I think. Like, people shit on it because it's like a card-based strategy thing, but it's not a typical Metal Gear. I'm like, but there's so much depth to it. It's awesome. Yeah. But I was at a place called the Console Game Exchange that unfortunately is closed now. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting an original Xbox. I was like, I'm getting the Xbox. What games do you recommend? It's like, so what kind of games do you like? I'm like, I'm a really big fan of, I don't know, RPGs. Like, get Morrowind.
Oh, yeah.
So I got Morrowind and I brought it home, plugged it into my shitty television that I had at the time, and started playing it. And it was like 6 in the afternoon, or 7, maybe. And I continued playing it, and continued playing it, and I continued, and then it was night, and I continued playing it, and continued playing it. And then it was day, and I'm like, I didn't go to bed.
That's how I was when I first put Knights of the Old Republic on. I remember I played that fucking thing. I just remember my brother got up to go to work, and then he left, and he came back, and he was gone all day, and I was still sitting in the exact same spot playing it. It's like, gnarled up fingers, could barely move, like, just so in the zone.
Yeah, I probably did the exact same thing with that game.
Morrowind, too, like that game was life-changing when I played it for the first time. Holy shit.
Yeah. That is the game that finally pushed me over the edge and went, okay, I need a 4K television and an Xbox One X.
Yeah.
I probably already told you this story, but the YouTube channel Digital Foundry, which does really good analysis on video game tech that powers graphics and frame rates and stuff, they did an analysis on the backwards compatibility and Xbox One X support of Morrowind.
Yeah.
And I watched that. I'm like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. I need to get an Xbox One X just to experience this for myself.
Nice.
So that's what pushed me over the edge.
I would definitely like to get a new one.
And I'm still saving up for it. I have about $400 saved. But God, a $500 console's fucking expensive.
It is. Like, that's one of the ones I definitely think is worth it. It's a really great system. I hope to get one fairly soon.
Yeah. But I think Morrowind might have been the only game that I got when I picked it up. But I played that game to death.
Oh yeah, we put so much hours in that game.
I remember running across slaves in Morrowind for the first time, and I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go kill that slave owner over there. And then the game was like, you killed an important NPC and can't finish the game now. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. Did you ever do the whole the Xbox LAN party thing that was a big deal back then?
No, it just it sounded too much work, and I'm too lazy.
Yeah, I never really got into that either, but that was a big deal, especially with Halo 1 and 2. You do a split screen, like 4 players, split screen, and you'd have like 4 consoles connected, so you'd have like 16 people.
Yeah, I know. I know people would do it, but I never tried.
I never tried it either. I have done similar things with computers. Like I did that with Doom when I was a kid. Where my dad, my brother, and I would network the computers together and play the original Doom co-op.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing that with Duke Nukem.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But this was it was kind of a new thing to consoles to have that as well at the time. You'd be able to LAN party stuff on it. Yeah. It was also it wasn't the very first console to have online play. I think that was the Saturn.
No, it wasn't, but I thought it did it the best so far.
Yeah, it was. It standardized it, is what it did. The Saturn had like a modem that you could buy that's extremely rare because fucking nobody had one. The Dreamcast came with a modem built in. It was 56K, and you could swap it out for a local area network for faster online play.
Right.
But there was not like, on both of those, there wasn't like you have one username across all of your different games, and it's got dedicated servers and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
They had things like that, like Battle.net for all of Blizzard's games back then for a while. So the groundwork for it to work on consoles was already laid out, and it was first done successfully on the original Xbox. And I think a lot of people seem to forget that the console didn't launch with it.
No, it was when did it come out?
I don't remember when Xbox Live came. I'm gonna look it up. When did it launch?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Unlike the original the Dreamcast before it, it was 100% Ethernet, so there was no modem.
Right.
When Xbox launched on November 15th, 2001, the as yet unnamed online service was destined for a summer 2002 deployment. It was given the name Xbox Live at E3 2002, 50 Xbox Live titles in 2003.
Looks like it was first made available in November 2002.
Yeah, November 15, 2002. So that's 1 year after launch.
Yeah.
So they were a little bit late with their original target, but it became a standard setter. And obviously, it was fairly basic at the time. And they would expand on it greatly with the Xbox 360. Like, when they announced Xbox 360 at E3, they spent like half the conference talking about Xbox Live and all their new features.
Yeah, which is smart. I mean, Xbox Live is huge.
Yeah, it went from being a pretty big deal to like massive industry change.
Right.
During that console generation, 7th console And we're at the point where even Nintendo is no longer ignoring the importance of things like dedicated servers and cloud saving. Took them a while to get to that point, but that's Nintendo for you.
Yeah.
There's actually still fans have gone back and gotten programs that get the original Xboxes back online so you can play some of the games.
Really?
On not Xbox Live, I guess, but that's basically what it is. It's just not officially provided by Microsoft. And from what I gather, the only one with consistent players is Halo 2. I know you're surprised by that.
I mean, obviously it doesn't surprise me. I know they put out that Halo Online thing a while ago, but
yeah, that was a fan-made project that was based on what was going to be a full-fledged, like, exclusively online Halo for PCs that got canceled. So fans took the files and were like, you know what, we're going to make it anyway. And then they did, and they completed it and launched it. And Microsoft sent them a DMCA takedown shortly thereafter and said, you guys can't share this anymore, have people download it or anything, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it happened.
From what I gather, the DMCA takedown went through 343 Industries, but 343 Industries had privately told them, we're really sorry about this. Microsoft is making us do this. We don't want to shut this down. We think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Is what I gather happened, and don't quote me on that. I could be very wrong. Yeah, I never really played much of Xbox Live, though. I played... go ahead.
No, I was trying to... I liked it. I'm trying to remember what game I didn't really get into it big time until the 360, and then I played a lot of games online for the 360. Not so much the original Xbox.
Yeah, my experience with original Xbox games online is virtually non-existent, honestly.
Right.
I played a little bit, like, there was a period of time where you could get online on the original Xbox for free before they shut it down.
Yeah.
But in between the launch of the 360 and them shutting down Xbox Live support for the original Xbox, there was a period of time where you could just log in for free and play games. Mm-hmm. And I did play a little bit during that era, but that's pretty much it. But it was a fairly big deal in its day, and I have always been more of a single player kind of guy. Like, if I'm playing multiplayer, I want to be sitting on a couch next to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like them. I mean, I don't play online all the time. I enjoy some of them, but I'm still mostly a single player.
Yeah.
I got way more into it with the 360.
There were a few games on the PlayStation 2 that I did play online. I played a little bit of Killzone online sometimes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was still very much a single player guy, and I still very much am, even though I focused the YouTube channel on doing like co-op Let's Plays, so Dalton is always there with me, because I just think having someone there to talk to makes it more interesting. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You remember when Konami shocked the world by putting Metal Gear Solid 2 on the original Xbox?
Did they?
Yeah. There was
forgot about that, yeah.
Here, let me see if I can get you a link to an article about it. Yeah, but there was the original Xbox version of Metal Gear Solid 2 was the Metal Gear Solid 2 called Substance or Subsistence? I don't remember which.
Subsistence?
That sounds right. I have a copy of it for the Xbox. It's honestly... Oh, it was Substance on the Yeah. But yeah, they ported Metal Gear Solid 2 to the Xbox. From what I gather, it's not quite as good as the original version.
I'm starting to kind of remember it.
But it had, it's the version where they added a shitload of extras to.
Yeah.
There was like a skateboarding demo that you could unlock where you skated as Snake. There was a bunch of VR missions added.
I know they had the Tony Hawk game for the Xbox. I wonder if was Snake in that one as unlockable? Or was it just the PS for the PlayStation?
I thought Spawn was unlockable. No wait, Spawn was in Soul Calibur 2 on the Xbox, wasn't he?
Yeah, goddamn it, I'm old. I'm starting to forget too much shit.
Yeah, I think Spawn was in Soul Calibur 2 on the original Xbox. And the PlayStation got Kratos?
Yeah.
And the one that everybody loved was the GameCube got Link.
Right, that was
I'm gonna double check. Yeah, it was Spawn. In the Xbox version of Soul Calibur 2. And it was yeah, I was right, it was Kratos.
Yeah.
And Soul Calibur 2 on the PlayStation. I remember people being a little bit baffled by that, because I think everybody kind of had the exact same response, was, why not Master Chief?
Yeah. I mean, no fucking clue.
I mean, you could have given him, like, the if you wanted to give him a melee weapon, you could have given him the energy sword. I realize that's a Covenant weapon, but you still could have done it.
No, it makes perfect sense, because everyone wanted the goddamn sword that you got in the game anyway. I mean, you can buy the sword, they have staplings you can buy.
Yeah, the sword, you actually got that in 2?
Yeah.
Halo 2. Which was kind of awesome.
Halo 2 is a great game.
Yeah, it's better than the first one in quite a few ways. I really like the Arbiter in Halo 2. I think he's got a poor introduction, because the opening cutscene just kind of throws the Arbiter out there, and they're like, you were there when the ring blew up, so it's your fault. And you're like,
yeah,
I played through the first game. This guy wasn't in it. Who the hell is he?
I thought he was. Sure, I really liked him. I liked Halo 2 a lot. I liked Halo 3 more, except, not to get on a Halo kick, but there's a mission in Halo 3 that's probably my least favorite game mission of all time. That to this day, even think about
the one where you fight the Flood on the ship and you're trying to find Cortana.
Yeah, I fucking hate that mission.
Everybody fucking hates that mission. People say it's even worse than the library in Halo 1.
Yep.
And the library sucks.
I know, and my brother had, because Halo 3 was the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother had a 360, and I played Halo 3 on that first, and I beat the game, but then I got my own 360, and so I wanted the achievements for it, so I had to play Halo 3 again, and I just remember, like, I hated that fucking mission so much. I was dreading it so bad.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying about Halo 2. Even the Arbiter has a poor introduction in that game, because it introduces him in a way that just kind of assumes, it almost seems to assume that you know who he is.
Yeah.
And you don't. But, like, after you play through it, the first time you know who the Arbiter is, so the second time it doesn't really bother you, but the first time through, it's just puzzling. But he actually has a good arc where it goes, like, from I have deeply rooted religious beliefs in the Covenant to I'm questioning my beliefs to, you know what, fuck the Covenant, I'm going to help the humans.
Right.
And because he realizes the truth, and that to me was the most interesting part of Halo 2. Like, I prefer the Arbiter levels because of his story arc.
Mm-hmm.
Not to shit on the Chief level. Chief has some good levels in it too, but I just like the Arbiter story arc better. And I will eventually get to reviewing Halo 2, and when I do, my video review of it will be more positive than my review of Halo 1. I was fairly harsh on quite a few aspects of Halo 1, but I think overall I was fair to the game.
I like Halo 1. I mean, I get it was very important, but to me, I wouldn't want to go back and play it.
Yeah. I'll probably go back and play it after getting the Master Chief Collection for the Xbox One X, though.
Yeah.
And that'll be the Xbox 360 Anniversary Edition.
Yep.
Which is gorgeous, actually. I really like how it looks. I really like how it looks. But there was one other thing, minor thing that bothers me in Halo 2. And that is Halo 1 is at its absolute best when you are in wide open arenas to fight enemies, and there are quite a few moments in Halo 2 where it kind of railroads you through smaller spaces, and I think that they did that because it probably was bogging down the frame rate, so they probably had to do it, but it's still less fun than Halo 1 at its best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I give you that.
Overall, better game, less repetitive though. That eventually came to PC, Halo 2.
Yep. Sure did. I remember the ads for it when it came out.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. It was Windows Vista only, which is kind of weird. And it was games for Windows Live, which is nobody fucking likes games for Windows Live.
Oh god, no.
But there is a patch out there called Project Cartographer that removes games for Windows Live and gets it up to speed so it runs extremely well on modern hardware. And it looks really fucking sharp on modern hardware. It really does. Like, I downloaded that just because I thought it was the demo.
Yeah.
When I downloaded it, but it turns out that it's the full fucking game that is included with the Project Cartographer mod, and I'm like, is that legal? But I've been playing through it, and boy, does it look sharp on in high resolutions. But one thing that I noticed about the PC port that I think is kind of dumb is, you know how the menus always have the button prompts on screen where it's like, press the A button or press the X button.
Yeah.
It's still the console button prompts on the PC version. Even though it's designed to be played with a mouse and keyboard, it's still the console button prompt, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, a pretty good port. Looks better than the console version, as you'd expect. But I was a bit surprised at how quickly they cut off support for the original Xbox after the 360 came out.
I don't. I mean, 360 was such a big hit that I'm not really surprised in a way. Because to me, it felt like they didn't really have to, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they expected it to be as successful as it was, and especially to come out of the gate so strong. Such a great console.
Yeah. The original Xbox is probably still my favorite Microsoft console, and I don't know how much nostalgia plays into that, because if I look at them at face value, the line of games on the 360 is surely better.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a 360 fan. I like the original Xbox. I think it's underrated, but I didn't have as many memories or games for it. The 360, that was my shit for a while. Like, I had a ton of games I was playing all the time.
Yeah. And when I say that it's my favorite, don't don't hear me dissing the 360.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I have one. I have played it a ton. I still have a bunch of games that I need to beat for it. Do you remember if they did much of anything to try to court with the Japanese audience with the original Xbox?
More so with the 360, I think. The original Xbox, I think, for the Japanese market, was just dead on arrival. There was really not much they could do.
Yeah, so is the Xbox One X for that matter, but or not that, just the Xbox One, I should say. But I know there were at least a few Japanese exclusive games because Devolver Digital is bringing one over here with a HD port of it, a remaster.
Oh, nice! I didn't know.
Metal Wolf Chaos is what it's called.
Oh, cool! That should be sweet.
Have you heard of Metal Wolf Chaos?
Yeah.
It looks awesome, and I want to play it. But that was originally an Xbox exclusive in Japan, which is kind of funny because the entire game is set in the United States, and you play the president of the United States.
That's great.
But I always wanted to play it. It got pretty good ports of Unreal Tournament, didn't it?
Was it Unreal Tournament?
I thought it got Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 both.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I know it got Unreal 2, The Awakening.
Yeah.
And I played through that, and I remember kind of enjoying it, but apparently a lot of other people hated it. It got UT99 is the one that it got. That was Was Cliffy B involved in that one, or had he left the Unreal project by then?
I want to say that he had left, but I wouldn't want to say 100%. I feel like he had left.
I was just wondering if his relationship with Microsoft and Xbox goes back that far, because obviously after that he did Gears of War on the
one of my all-time favorite games,
which turned out to be a huge system seller for the original Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Not the Xbox 360.
Yeah, 360 was just a beast, man. I love that damn thing.
The original Xbox did get a cover-based shooter, though. It got the very first one. It was called a Kill Switch.
Yep.
Which I own and have not played.
It's not bad.
That's basically what everybody tells me. They're like, it's alright.
Yeah.
I own the PlayStation 2 version. I'll get around to playing it eventually.
Yeah.
Phantasy Star was a big deal on it. Remember Phantasy Star Online?
Yep. Yeah. I didn't play it. I know. I didn't play it.
It's an early example of a console-exclusive MMO, which is such a strange concept because MMOs are the kind of things that constantly get updates all the fucking time. So to have that on a console in like 2001 was very unusual.
Yeah.
And there was that, and it was competing against the PlayStation 2's Final Fantasy XI. That was it. Which I also didn't play.
No, I never really cared to. I didn't have any desire to play it.
Which, if you know me and you know my love for Final Fantasy, that's probably weird to hear. Hey, he has a Final Fantasy game that he didn't want to play. Right. What the fuck? Because I fucking adore the series. Except for 13. That one can fuck off and die.
Yeah, 13 sucks.
I'm glad you agree. Yeah, I hate 13 though. It's just awful game. And I remember, this is getting back to the 360, which isn't what this is supposed to be about, but I remember, was it Final Fantasy 13 that Microsoft had a guy go on stage and like roll up his sleeve and he had a tattoo on his arm of the logo for it, or not?
No, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh. How was it that they revealed 13 coming to the Xbox? And I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I do. I distinctly remember the Grand Theft Auto reveal.
Yeah, it was Grand Theft Auto 4, but prior to that, the original Xbox did get pretty good ports of 3 Vice City and San Andreas.
Yeah.
I actually have the ports of 3 and Vice City. I uploaded some gameplay of those 2 ports like a year ago. Because my dad asked for them for, I don't remember if it was birthday or Father's Day. One of the two. Because he wanted to try them. He's like, I want that game where you can run over hookers and get your money back. And I'm like, I can do that. You're thinking of Grand Theft Auto. I can go get you that. I'll go get you Vice City. That's my personal favorite.
That's such a great game.
It really is. I love Vice City to death. But it got good ports of both of those, and San Andreas. And then San Andreas got ported to the Xbox 360 as well, and I didn't even know about that until years later.
Oh, I don't think I ever knew about that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until I walked into a used video game store and saw it on the shelf, but I'm like, when did that happen?
Right. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's how I discovered that the PlayStation 2 got a Call of Duty game in 2008. Because the PlayStation 2 got a companion piece to World at War called Call of Duty World at War Final Fronts. And it was developed by Rebellion Entertainment, the guys that did the original, the Atari Jaguar version of Alien vs. Predator, as well as the 2 PC original games from back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was developed by them. I saw it sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, I had no clue that this thing existed. I need to play this now because I had no clue this thing existed. So I own that, and I'm probably going to do a video review of it on my channel at some point. But I think the last Call of Duty game that the original Xbox got was a port of 3, wasn't it?
I honestly don't remember. But that sounds like you could be right.
I know before that they did Finest Hour, which I didn't think was very good because I thought it was kind of a blurry, ugly mess where you were getting shot by people beyond the draw distance of the game, which is never fun. And it got Big Red 1, Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then it didn't get like the Treyarch, not Treyarch, Infinity Ward Call of Duty 2.
No, that was a little bit later.
Yeah, it was the same year, but it was a few months later, I think. Because that was at the launch of the Xbox 360. It was the launch title, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, the Dodgers are winning. How long have we been going? Over an hour. You want to go ahead and call it, dude?
Yeah.
Alright. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, ring the bell, because otherwise you're probably not going to get notifications from my channel in your fucking inbox because YouTube sucks. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.
Peace.